from you, and then you start waking bacon, and then you just don't ever deal with all your issues, so they compound and fucking whirlwind.
Well, I was
El
told that
Nino of bullshit
by my shrink. She's like, you probably have you done this gene site testing?
No, what's that?
Really haven't done it?
No.
I'm surprised. So it's mainly used in psychiatry now, but they're saying it's going to have all kinds of future with, determining cancer and things like that. And they actually use it to look for depression, bipolar, ADHD, and they can look at your genes. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to butcher this, but basically for me, they can look at your dopamine and say, okay, this is how your genetics work. And
Can they tell if you're gay?
I don't know if they can tell if you're gay, but maybe they'll find it at some point. I already have accepted it. I actually have a video up called "Do You Choose to Be Gay?" and my answer is definitively no.
What if it was you?
Well, again, because I don't choose, I pretty much knew when I tuned into the OC when I was a kid and I was looking at Misha Barton and Rachel Bilson and the people who wanted to screw Adam Brody. I think that's when you realize you're gay. If it were me, then I'd be gay.
Okay.
What does that matter?
Just question.
Would you be uncomfortable if
you were gay? No. I've had Milo on the show
because I've complimented you quite a bit.
Thank you.
You could look back and think, well, maybe he's gay. Maybe he had ulterior motives.
I don't think I would think that.
But with dopamine, with me, like we have a relative in the family who actually, I should say, who has an issue, and so they looked at genes that create serotonin, and then okay, most people have a long gene and a short gene, and you have two short genes, and with me, that's the case with dopamine. So like a lot of people who would maybe typically be addicts, or people with ADHD, or people who, for me, I didn't realize this until I was a lot older. Look, I'm going to totally expose myself as vulnerable to all the angry potheads after the argument. I didn't realize until I was older, I didn't actually feel the same feelings of joy or like pleasure that other people do. So dopamine, right? You know how that works. It's your reward center. Like you do something good, bing. And I was a B student in high school. I never opened a textbook because if I completed something, I did a project, that was it. Most people are like, I did a project. I was like, okay, I did a project. What's the next thing? I never really felt that reward center in the brain. And they did this gene site testing, and they found that basically I have the worst genetic pattern. It's not entirely accurate, but it's actually increased the efficacy of antidepressants from like a 1 in 2 to like a 2 in 3.
Wow.
Something like that. Because they can look and look at your genetics more effectively. And so,
yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but have you taken antidepressants?
I've taken ADHD medication.
That's not antidepressants.
No, it's not antidepressants, but it's easy to...
Hyperactivity disorder is a completely different situation,
well,
right?
It's also basically a dopamine shortage.
ADHD is? Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's why stimulants, on people who actually have ADHD, don't rev them up, actually just zone them in. Some kid takes Adderall who's studying and they feel like wired. And before the genetic testing, that's how they often tested for it. Is, well, how do you react to this drug? And if you feel wired... like me with all this, I had 600 milligrams of caffeine.
Right.
Then you probably don't have ADHD.
What kind of shit did they put you on when they put you on ADHD medication?
The basic like Adderall, stuff like that.
Oh, so they put you on Adderall?
I've taken it, and I don't take it every day because I never want to be dependent on it.
How often do you take it?
I don't know.
A couple times a week?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Do you just take it when you're feeling down? Like,
no,
how do you take it?
It is amazing. I will tell you this. I never realized until I took it. And this is not, I'm not advocating because I think it's way overprescribed.
I think you're right.
I think most kids I don't think you should put kids on it.
I think you're right too.
And I think that most kids or most people who take it don't need it. But I also think that there are people with real conditions out there
like you
that can benefit from it.
Well, you have a genetic, you can prove it.
Well, because for the longest time, my wife will hear this and denied it through and through. I thought, no, this is bullshit. The ADHD is just to get kids whacked out on Ritalin. And I had people who I would deal with like counseling or stuff as a kid because I would get stressed. I had stress management issues. And they're like, have you ever thought about ADHD? I'm like, no, I don't believe it. And then I was given a book on ADHD, and I've never finished reading it. I read like 3 pages and moved on to something else. And they said, okay, let's do this test, this whole kind of questionnaire deal. And it was pretty extensive, short of actually doing a CAT scan. I said, okay, you test like in the top 99th percentile. And we did the gene site testing. I think it's called Gene Site. And it was pretty remarkable. And I will say that I won't get into exactly what it is that I've done or what medications I've taken, but it was certainly life-changing as far as I didn't know what normal people felt like.
Wow, that's really fascinating. ADHD is a fascinating form of a sort of a mild mental disorder that's extremely frequent.
I don't think it's as frequent as a lot of people think, though. I would give you like.
You think it's overprescribed?
Yeah, I really do. I really do because whenever I say it, people go, "Oh, I too, I'm major ADD." I go, "No, It's not the same thing.
Right. That's the thing that people like to say to just compensate for them being a douchebag.
Asperger's.
I'm so
I have Asperger's.
ADHD.
Oh, you're a dick.
I'm on the spectrum.